Hi, it's Daniel from TrustGraph, and today I'm thrilled to present our first in a series of conversations with outstanding innovators from the TrustGraph community. And without question, the first person that came to mind, Tyler Oliver from Huntbase. He's been using TrustGraph now for quite a long time, and his involvement, contributions, recommendations, feedback, advice, all have been invaluable in our journey in developing TrustGraph and making it the leading agentic AI platform for building AI solutions. Now, I turn it over to Rob Hamilton, our head of partnerships at TrustGraph, and Tyler. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Rob Hamilton from TrustGraph, and I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of Huntbase, Tyler Oliver. Tyler, welcome.
Hey, Rob, thanks for having me. Excited to be able to sit down and chat through both my world in the AI SecOps space and SOC space, but also kind of the world of TrustGraph and the world of knowledge cores in more detail.
Yeah, likewise. We're glad to be able to carve out some time together on this being the kickoff of our what we hope to be an AI fireside chat webinar series. So this is the premiere. Uh, Thank
Very
you.
cool. Well, hopefully we can do an in-person fireside at some event next year or something like that as well. So we'll see how we go.
That would be perfect. Yeah, yeah. Um, can you tell us a little bit about Huntbase for those folks who are watching who may not be familiar with what you're working on there? Give us some
Yeah, for sure.
context.
Yeah, so I am coming from a slightly different direction to say the team at TrustGraph, like yourself and Dan and Mark. So I started a company called Huntbase a little over a year ago. Our focus is on helping security operators, whether they be in a security kind of operations role, so in a SOC, or if they're more in a ad hoc threat hunting and investigation role, help them with overcoming that investigative burden of triaging alerts, dealing with new threats, and how we can do that using this new emerging technology in the best way. So I started this adventure as a founder coming from the security space, having worked in more as an operator and building products in the space from places like Mandiant and others, and seeing the struggles that people go through when it comes to trying to decide, okay, something's happened, what do I do next?
Mhm.
And that's been driving me forward with where we're going with Huntbase. And we're doing quite well. We're excited for the year ahead, and as the fact that I'm here on the conversation with you, we're heavily using kind of TrustGraph's architecture and core technology in our product as well for our guidance, which I'm sure we'll talk more about.
Yeah. And I know our team have been pleased working with you, over this time period. It's been a real pleasure and really exciting, challenging, but I think excitement is more of the word for this than anything. It's something that's actually um, you feel that you're doing something that's for the common good for AI. There was something here that I wrote down. I'm going to paraphrase it, but that I was reading that there's quite a proliferation of AI SOC tools in the space, as you just alluded to, and really how those tools integrate into the ecosystem and how they handle bad, scenarios and situations, leaves a lot open for misinterpreting data. And certainly the work that you're doing at TrustGraph is to build a more secure and reliable AI driven operations model. Um, can you give?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I mean, I can kind of peel back a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Like I think there is definitely no shortage of in any industry right now. I think new businesses, new products, new solutions that are leveraging AI
Of course.
for better or worse, right? There's some technologies that exist only because we've started to leverage this technology more heavily. So I certainly look at a lot of the players in the security world that are building solutions to help secure AI usage as a very interesting pathway. And definitely something that I know a lot of our customers are looking at, and I think the wider community is looking at. Then we have those that are leveraging AI for some outcome. And in the security operations space, that outcome is usually how do I remediate, resolve, or defend against a given threat, either identify a vulnerability or remove that threat. And so when we talk about, hey, how do we make sure that we're rooting the output that we provide our users, no matter what the problem we're trying to go after is rooted in fact, is critical, especially to Huntbase. Like I cannot be in a position where I'm telling someone to go and quarantine a system or do a deeper investigation on an individual just because an LLM has whimmed it to be. I need to make sure that we're making those decisions correctly. And previously, these decision engines or decision pipelines were heavily built around the business process automation space, or business decision automation space, and now we're adding this layer of kind of wild west and chaos in a good way, thinking that can produce outputs that we may or may not expect, but we want to make sure that they're correct. So yeah, it's a daily problem that I'm certainly dealing with.
So prior to Huntbase, the work that you were doing in security was a lot of this being done manually, I'm assuming, somewhere in the enterprise level of
Yes and
managing.
no.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think a lot of the knowledge management was definitely done manually, if it was done at all. Yeah. So when we talk about how we're using TrustGraph, that's where the TrustGraph piece is fitting. When we talk about kind of the way that analysts are investigating threats, there's been a large movement for years on bringing in automation in this space. We saw it with products like SOAR, so security orchestration and automation platforms. We still see a world where those platforms are even evolving to say, hey, we're now AI SOAR. But there's still a large amount of work, and why we've architected things the way we have is there's a large amount of investigative and hunting work that has to harness the human creativity and human kind of inquisitiveness that you lose when everything is automated away, or lose the nuance. So what we try to do is say, hey, look, cool, automate as much as you can, and then when Huntbase takes over, along with the analysts, we leverage the guidance and the knowledge and the shared knowledge, along with that analyst's kind of extreme creativity, to investigate things a little bit deeper and think about things. So if I take a step back to the knowledge component, so I think your original question was around, is much of this been automated away, specifically, or has much of this been moved toward automation from previous? Yeah. With regards to knowledge, I think it's something that we all learn about, and we all in security, I think there's a lot of conversations around the OODA loop, so observe, orient, decide, and act, and then you kind of go through that loop continuous. And in other, depending on your framework of choice, there's always this kind of knowledge recirculation. That's always, I think, said but never done. And what we do is leverage TrustGraph to make sure that last piece is done. So what we do is for every investigation we do, for every structured and unstructured data point we ingest, we make sure that TrustGraph is leveraged to kind of surface that again. So if you do something twice, or if someone else has learned a concept, we do that again. And so you kind of almost like forced into your process this knowledge circulation.
There was a sense there, I know, in some conversations I've had within TrustGraph and with you as well, this notion of sort of the last mile. You're providing that extra.
that extra piece. So
That
the
extra
last
piece, yes.
yeah. The last mile for kind of for us when we talk to our customers and we say, hey, look, we're supporting you on that that last mile of investigation, whatever that might be, that tends to be the most difficult. Now, in some cases, that's because it's the one that requires documentation or it's the one that requires human intervention. So actually, like I have to pick
Mhm.
up the phone and call Robert. Hey, did you click that email? Did you do this? There's like a manual effort
Yeah,
involved there. But in many cases, it's also someone not knowing what to do or not understanding the tools at their disposal on where to go next. And so that's where we're supporting that last mile. I think uh, it's always, if as we move to more and more automation, more and more usage of AI in different ways, that last mile in any problem space is going to be where the human becomes so critical. Whether it's, it doesn't mean that the mile is literally a mile or even that difficult. It could be the last mile is just some person has to press a button. It has
yeah.
to be a human.
Something
Um, uh,
simplistic.
yeah, well, but it could be as complex as actually we need someone to do a deeper deeper analysis on what the system says is weird and we can't quite figure out why. So let's have a human do that analysis.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, moving from LLMs to agentic AI knowledge cores, can you give us, without divulging too many secrets?
Just
So,
come join the
the,
Discord and you'll see the
yeah,
secrets flow.
it's out there. It's out
Yeah.
there. That's leading to my other question too that I have, with regards to the open source community versus proprietary closed applications.
Yeah. Um, uh, uh, I think there's a mentality I have around solving this unique security ops problem that is like goes to the conversation of shared knowledge. Like I just want to make sure that I'm asking all the questions open so people can give me the feedback they need and that so
Yeah.
far that's helped me.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I've not kind of kept that close to the chest, but
Now, your Scout product, can you give us an idea of what some of the use cases are?
yeah. So
For,
the kind of the Huntbase platform, so to speak, one of the core pieces is Scout. Now, you talk a little bit about kind of agentic technologies. Yeah, Scout is all of that. It's all agents. It's rather than say, hey, let's divvy up the technology into what we see as like AI components. Scout encompasses that whole tech part of our product. But the main focus for Scout is to understand and to properly suggest and guide as you go through a hunt or investigation. So much in the way that as you're using, say, vibe coding apps, and the apps are kind of giving you suggestions and building upon your work. Scout is kind of there doing something similar for the threat hunter. So saying, hey, look, where should you go next? What things should we look at?
Mhm.
So a prime use case for this is in security teams where they're seeing a large amount of not alerts, because I think that's just a noisemaker, but more work that's coming in and they're actually having to handle. So incidents or whatever they might call it, that are being escalated quite regularly because an analyst reaches a point of I don't know where to go next, or I've done the tick box exercise of phishing alert came in, I checked to see who Robert was, I did this, that, and the other thing, reached the end of my checklist and said, all right, I need to escalate now. We want to help people move away from that, whether they're kind of college analyst or they're college grad analyst or they're a senior threat hunter. So Scout comes in and takes data from the cores, which we can talk about a little bit more, to say, hey, look, this is the problem. So phishing. This is how you investigate phishing. This is how industry best practices on phishing are defined. This is the technologies you have available to you. Not We're not necessarily talking, say, hey, here's the MCP toolkit kind of thing, but literally, this is as an individual, you have the ability to touch certain technologies. So now I know how those technologies work. I know how to respond to a phishing alert. And now you've provided the context of the problem. Let me give you the right output and the right next steps. And that's where Scout steps in. It says, hey, why don't cool, you've got as much data as you think you can get. Have you thought about actually, looking to see if Robert's in the office today, or have you thought about, pulling in some other piece of data that you may have? Along with, have you thought about just picking up the phone and calling and saying, hey, did you click that link? Because sometimes that's the faster route to resolution than not. Now, not all users will say yes, but it's a step. So, but yeah, that Scout is encompassing many things at this stage, and I think I don't know. He's making it. He's made an appearance on the website. We'll see how big that gets.
And interest in the product from, I would imagine, government as well as business, as well as
Yeah, I think.
cross industry.
Yeah, I think because we are trying to solve a problem just by um, not just by saying, hey, let's automate it away or assume that everything is driven in the same direction. So threat hunting is a research problem, and research shifts, like data you need to collect, the data points, the relationships between those data points shifts consistently. And because we're architecting and building in that way, it opens the product up to many other pathways. Now,
Mm-hmm.
most of our customers today, it's less about the vertical and who they are kind of as what their core business is. It's more about
Yeah.
how they operate. So, how their security teams operate. Are they one man kind of band type of team, or are they a semi-structured security operations center? So we're seeing a lot of interest from those kind of more semi-structured, the MSSP world, where they're
Yeah.
working, they have a consistent kind of incident-driven cycle, or they have a problem where their analysts are not taking it to the next level, and we're kind of helping push them that way with gentle nudges. Um,
When you mention MSPs, I'm thinking of, also we've been hearing about NeoCloud, having resources of GPUs on bare metal. Is this something that you've run into at all with, say, the folks that you're working with or communicating with right now, or is it too early to
No,
say?
I've not come across it yet. There's not been, I think, a massive driver for us to, I mean, from a technology perspective, like the actual Huntbase platform supporting said technology, that's not a massive need.
Yeah,
Um, I think one thing that's, I think, important for anybody that's building with with AI models is and I think a lot of people have said this over the years is sure, test with these large foundation models that require a lot of technology and a lot of hardware to kind of build out and iterate with. But longer term, you're better off using smaller models for your cut down use cases, which tend to run on more varied hardware a little bit easier. And we're kind of in that camp at this stage. Um, but yeah.
what other problems do you see? What outlying problems, I should rephrase that question, what outlying problems do you see that you're still trying to address, or is there still one problem issue out there, if you can think of one?
Um, I think one of the biggest problems that as in we're trying to address with why we're doing what we're doing, or actually a problem that we have that needs addressed, because there's a bit of column A,
Well, it
bit
could
of
go
column
both
B.
ways.
I guess, yeah, I'm, uh,
I guess what you're trying to address with Huntbase, if there's still an outlying problem.
yeah. I mean, the biggest problem is more of a psychological problem, which is the burnout issue in the industry.
Yeah,
Um, it seems a bit odd that I say that maybe with the hey, I have an AI driven SOC tool that's going to help with burnout. Now most will say, yeah, obviously you're going to triage alerts faster, and that's the more alerts you triage, the less analysts have to do work. I think about it a little differently. I more see our ability to help analysts deal with the problem at hand of the investigation at hand rather than the backlog. So that to me is driving more burnout. So what I mean by that specifically is like in a security operations center, you have analysts that are dealing with multiple incidents or alerts at a time. They go home. It's unlikely that they're up at night or as stressed because there's 1,000 alerts in their queue, as much as it's that problem that's sitting in front of them. And what we want to do is help them with that problem, that hunt or investigation that's sitting in front of them. Different angle. I think there's a lot of other technologies that are helping with that alert volume reduction, but that's not quite where we're coming at this.
TrustGraph. How did you first come across TrustGraph?
Well, should we tie the dots? How does TrustGraph solve all the world's stresses?
For everyone who's watching this, yes.
Yeah. Should we say because I mean it's a funny journey, right? So I think my problem has always been how do I help the me from a previous life deal with investigative stress, and understanding information, understanding how different information is connected is part of that investigative problem that causes it can cause a lot of anxiety in certain situations. And so when I started building Huntbase, we looked at it from how do we connect a lot of different disparate data so that we can more better use that as an analyst. And then it was like, oh, wait, there's this kind of agents coming out. How can we make sure that if we do go down the agent pathway, how can we make sure those agents are able to use that same knowledge easily? And weirdly enough, we started down this route of knowledge graphs. And a little over a year ago, I started doing a lot of research around how to use graphs in high risk scenarios for guidance. So there's some research that I'd looked up previously around how to use graph guidance systems for firefighting, for military operations, for first responders, for surgery. You can see there's a commonality amongst these topics. They're very high risk, and being wrong is not an option. And it quickly became clear that maybe there's something here. Maybe there's a way that I can ensure consistency. And as I dug deeper, I came across TrustGraph, and it was almost serendipitous because it operated in a similar way to the way that we had built event-driven systems before with Kafka when I was building an XDR product, and Huntbase is architected in a very similar model, slightly different. Obviously, we're using Pulsar on the TrustGraph side, but it allowed me to almost slot it in very nicely next to the existing ecosystem. And then there was all of these different things that almost unearthed themselves. And now there's a lot more documentation that Dan and Mark have certainly put together, and around the knowledge core concept, et cetera, that has unlocked some new capabilities that we hadn't originally thought of. So yeah, it all started for me and kind of seeing TrustGraph a little over a year ago, and then come to find out that it's a fairly local business to me here in the UK, and Dan's obviously in San Francisco, and it allowed me to get on Discord at any time of the day and have an answer for a small team, which is quite helpful. And then I even got into kind of the code base and was able to use it quite quickly in our tech, and I've been pretty happy being involved so far. So.
Yeah, it's been a very symbiotic relationship, and I think mutually beneficial in many ways as well.
For sure.
Real application.
Yeah, I would say anybody that's kind of exploring, not to sound too kind of pitchy here, but anybody that's exploring trust, like graph knowledge, or knowledge stores in the graph world, it's very, very kind of technically heavy quite quickly when we start talking like, okay, how do we process unstructured data? How do we store it? And then how do we use it? And I think the benefit that we got out of TrustGraph was the ontology-less approach.
Yes.
And it's funny that I'm saying that because I remember having the conversation with Mark early on going, hey man, I've got this ontology. I think at the time it was like, hey, I've got this crazy ontology called OCSF, and I want to make sure I extract data in the right way. And then Mark essentially sat me down and schooled me on the new way of thinking, and it had better outcomes. So it's worth an exploration. And now the guys have also introduced the ontology driven extraction as well. So it's kind of come full circle for me.
That's a daily topic here at TrustGraph. Many of the internal discussions. Yeah. What's next at Huntbase? I recently announced your funding.
Yeah.
And Halcyon and
it's been a busy couple months. We've got a good team on board. Some really good friends that have come on to help build the product as well. Right now we're nearing first release of the touchable version for outside customers, which is pretty exciting. We have some big things planned over the next couple months, but it's just the beginning. So there's a lot that we want to do, and keep driving towards the mission of helping security analysts in that overwhelming world of investigations and triage. Is always, to me, always going to be the goal. So yeah, we're just beginning. I'm excited for next year, but I'm also I'm excited for next week, and I'm excited for tomorrow, and there's a lot going on. So
the acceleration,
yes, yeah,
right. And finally, on a personal note, interest outside of Huntbase when you're not
yeah. When
in the middle of
if you'd asked me that question maybe a year ago, I probably had way more hobbies than I do now. Just because I think the startup definitely
the time constraint.
Yeah. It's funny. I was talking to someone about analyst stress the other day, and I was like, oh, I've traded that in for startup stress, but it's different time. Hobbies wise, like I got a couple kids that keep me very, very busy.
Oh yes,
and I think you've heard the dog barking in the background at least once as well. We figuring out how to entertain a 2-year-old is a full-time hobby.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, full-time. Yeah. That's enough.
Yeah.
Really
I'm getting very creative with cardboard. So
that's great though. That's great. Great.
Awesome, man.
Well, Tyler, I think we're getting near the time limit here. If there's anything else you'd like to comment on.
No, I think only thing is for those that are listening, definitely hop on the TrustGraph Discord, and I think I'll be listening. I think Robert knows I'm around and kind of fairly active, but happy to answer any questions from a user perspective anytime. So
perfect. And likewise for Huntbase, for everyone out there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, thank you again for speaking with me today. It's a real pleasure. And I'm sure we'll be speaking again very soon.
For sure, Robert. And I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again.
Great. Thank you. Bye-bye now.